Good afternoon. My name is Amasa Clark, and today I'll be talking about one current issue within our educational system. One current issue within our educational system is and within our charter schools. Today's presentation agenda will consist of me giving you an introduction. I'm going to then follow up on a background on charter schools, what charter schools are, how they're supposed to be managed and ran. I'm going to then talk about the admission challenges that our students and parents face with applying for a charter school and getting their children to get accepted within a charter school. I'm going to talk about the shortage of diversity, how charter schools lack diversity. I'm going to talk about the heavy workload for teachers and how our teachers are burnt out. I'm going to talk about the lack of transportation that our students have with getting to their schools. I'm going to talk about the challenges that students with disability face and how there's a shortage of enrollment with students with disability. And I'm going to also talk about student exhaustion, how students are exhausted with assessments and exams that they have to take periodically to keep the score up with their charter school. Introduction. As I stated earlier, there are current issues within our educational system, and one current issue is within our charter schools. I believe that charter schools are not assisting to help our students progress and properly receive their education. They are preventing teachers from suitably teaching our students and our students from suitably receiving an education, a proper education. What are charter schools? Charter schools are independently managed and funded schools under a charter or a contract within their state or jurisdiction. Admission challenges. As I stated earlier, charter schools are hard for our students to get into, and they face challenges every day. Since there is a high demand of certain schools that parents want their students to get into because they're considered good schools, there's a lottery system that students must apply for. Since there's a lottery system, if students want to go to certain schools with their siblings, they may be unable to do so because of the high demand. Here in New Orleans, students have to apply for schools through a one-app process. The process basically is a student filling out the application, and they have to submit the application, and they're randomly selected like a lottery system. As I said, there's a lack of diversity within our charter schools. Given that many charter schools target a specific audience and centered on particular education areas, the lack of diversity may notably suffer. And also there's a shortage of diversity with our staffs and within charter schools too. However, for a wholesome development, it will be beneficial for students to meet other students with interest to help expand their horizon, and they can develop in different aspects, which charter schools aren't doing for our students and teachers. Massive workload for teachers. Depending on which state a charter school is in, they do not have to abide by labor regulation laws. This is why some of our teachers are working for 70 work hours without proper comprehension in some areas. This is an issue that affects both teachers, students, and parents, because teachers won't be able to function properly to teach our students because they're burnt out with the overwhelming workload that charter schools have them doing. They have to constantly teach the students and give them assessments and assignments to make sure their school scores are high and they aren't declining. Students with disabilities. Charter schools do not help to assist students with disabilities and their problems. Critics have argued that charter schools enroll students with disabilities less frequently than public schools, particularly because of the cost and the burdens that comes with educating our students with disabilities. Charter schools lack the references to teach students with special needs and disability. As you can see, here's a chart of the overall enrollment for students with disabilities. The burgundy color is the percentage of students with disabilities within 2018 to 2019, and the bluish color is the percentage of students within traditional public schools with disability. As you can see, the charter school enrollment is low versus the public school, and the year's progress is 2029 and 2010 till 2013 and 2014. The percentage of students with disabilities within our charter school are low. And you'll think that because of charter schools and how they're funded and how they're managed and what they're supposed to be designed to do, that they'll be able to better equip and assist students with disability, but they aren't. And this is just within 2019 to 2014. I can imagine what the percentage is now. Transportation. Depending on the charter school, some families may not be required to provide, depending on the charter school, some schools may not be required to provide students with transportation to get to charter school. As I said, there's a high demand of students that want to go to certain charter schools, and our schools can assist our students with getting to school, which is a problem because you'll think that being a school, is supposed to help our students get to school and provide transportation so they could be educated properly. This both hinders student, teachers, and parents as well, as I said. Some charter schools don't have the proper funding to fund buses for their students. Student exhaustion. There will be assessments that students have to constantly take, and the pressure to academically perform as well. Charter schools are draining our students with the amount of assessments and exams that they have to take yearly. Charter schools are taking the fun out of learning for students. Students are burnt out. They don't want to learn anymore because they're crammed with all this work and the pressure of performing and excelling, so that charter schools could be funded and their scores could continue to increase. And that is the end of our presentation. I believe that charter schools should do a better job with helping to teach their students, our students, like they were supposed to be designed to do. There's also a problem with our virtual students that attend charter schools. I'm doing my internship at Mount Vernon Charter School, and there's a teacher that I'm shadowing, and she has virtual school as well as in-person students. She isn't teaching the students virtually as she should. She isn't spending much time with the virtual kids. Her main focus will be mainly on the students that are in person, which is a problem because both students should be receiving the same amount of attention and be getting educated the same. And this is within a charter school. Charter schools should do better at teaching our schools instead of just solely focusing on scores and the funding that they receive.